For what it's worth. I finally got it on there, but I'm telling you what, that was a fight. Some of my problem ended up being this actually retainer pin was hanging on the inside of that chain. It would, every time I tried to put pressure on it, it was turning everything at a funny angle. And so that was number one. Number two is that pin is really tight on there, and it has to be. I got that, but wow, what a fight. So she's in there now. I know this is going to try to turn the engine. Yeah, it's okay. I just would rather not do that. I'm not sure what the torque spec is on this, to be honest with you. What do you think? Impact tight? No, I'll have to get torque spec on. I'm not really sure. So, and I'll have to hold the crank. So I'm going to have to find the flex plate bolts and put in the back here. Try to put a pry bar down in there to stop that from turning. I don't have anything right now to do that, but this can wait for just a second. I'll put it up here so I don't forget. But anyway, with that said, now that this is on there, chain is super tight, and that was something else. It's also, the chain is new and it's really tight, and that's the reason I was such a fight. I don't know what to tell you about trying to do it. I thought about loosening this up and just kind of let this float. But then I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to push it back down and line it up and try to tighten it, you know, once everything was in. So I just fought it until it was in. I didn't know what else to do. But anyway, once your timing sets in finally and make sure everything's lined up, which it is, I turned it a little bit, so why that's off, but it's dead on. You pull this pin out and now there's pressure on. It doesn't really move because the chain is so tight as it is. But basically that's it. Now your tensioner is spring loaded. It's actually this piece of metal in there, you know, that kind of tries to straighten itself back out, spring loaded, but it's not like a spring and a coil style, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, so that it was a fight, but that was it. And now it's time for the oil pump. Well, I'm going to tighten this down. I'm going to go find my bolts because I think I left them in the with a flex plate, which is right here. Oh, you know what? I bet you. Well, you know what? I don't know where I put them. They may be out in the truck though. Anyway, I'm going to go hunt them real quick and put a couple of them in the back so I can torque this down, get the torque spec on this, get it done. So I'll bring you back when I put the oil pump on, because that needs to be on. I'll turn it over, get the windage tray on, and then we'll put the oil pickup tube on with a new O-ring and stuff. And then I really need the front cover, which is easy to put on. It's right here. And then I'll take the engine loose, put the back one on, and then turn it over and we'll get the oil pan on. Then hopefully the bottom end then will be done enough that I can put the lifters in and get the retainers in, all that kind of stuff. I could even put the top plate on, clean it up, put it on if I really wanted to, and then I just got to start on the heads. That's something I have not started on yet. But I do have to look up stuff on this oil pump, so I don't know when I'm going to bring you back on that, because it's a high volume, high pressure melling. Basically, they give you a stock melling oil pump, and then they give you two springs, and you have to take it apart and put these in. I know where one of them goes, but I've not really looked at it enough to see where the second one goes. And of course, you have to figure out which one goes where. It's possible there's just one spring, and you choose which one you want, but I don't know. I'll have to actually go to Melling. They actually have a website, Melling does, and it will talk you through how to do it. So I'm going to have to go watch that, because I really, like, I've never done it before. I now have two of them, and I'm going to use them from now on. It also, I know one of them requires you to take apart and shim to make sure that everything is positioned proper before you tighten it down. I am going to do that because I did it on the last engine, even though it didn't need it, and everything went really, really well. They said when they started that engine up. And the one before that I did, that 4.8. Well, I did that 5.3, and I used a standard volume oil pump, and I was very disappointed how much oil pressure it held, and I did a really good job of putting that on. It did the same thing, but I was very disappointed in what it came out like. It only held like 40 pounds cold, and it was like 20 pounds hot. I really don't like those numbers. I know it's fine, and GM will tell you it's fine. I don't like it. I mean, even that old 300,000 plus mile engine that's in my Malibu, that 5.3, it's a 2003 Gen 3. I didn't change anything but the oil pan and pickup tube. I'm putting a new O-ring, obviously, because I had to change to the Holley oil pan. I did not change the oil pump. I did not change lifters. Didn't pull the heads. All I did was re-gasket the valve covers, the intake, put a rear main seal in it, and put a front cover seal in it, obviously, and put the oil pan, the Holley oil pan, the pickup tube. That was all I did to that engine at 300,000. That thing holds 35 pounds at an idle hot, and holds 70 pounds at 5,000 RPM, even with all the miles that are on it. So these are good factory systems, but the aftermarket ones, if you don't get a high volume, high pressure, they really are not as good as one would think. So keep that in mind. I'm going to go get some bolts. We're going to torque this down, and I'll bring you back when I may even explain to you once I watch the video of how to do the oil pump. We'll see how it goes. All right, I know you really can't see anything except the front of the engine, but I set the windows tray on. It actually says front, so you can't really mess that up. And remember, your pickup tube goes on 2 of these, so leave them off until you put that on there. It's this one here and this one back here. I know, like I said, I know you can't see what I'm doing here. I could raise you up again, I guess. Bad thing is, I got to pull this engine off the stand to put that back cover on there. I really hate to, being this aluminum block. I'm not sure where to grab it, or I'm not going to damage anything, if you know what I mean. It's still pretty light. Where you're gaining on the aluminum block is just weight. It's not really, you're not gaining performance or horsepower. As a matter of fact, this one is rated at 10 horsepower less than my cast iron block 5.3 that's in my Suburban. It's not a lot, but it is different. So with that said, it's just a weight thing, and it's 75 pounds. That's the difference in weight. It's 75 pounds. Where's you up there? The vomit cam, yeah. At least you can kind of see what I'm doing a little bit. Not much, but a little. But anyway, that is all you're gaining. It's just you're 75 pounds of weight. So if you're wanting to build a normally aspirated or something that uses very little boost, the aluminum block isn't bad for that, but they're not designed. The aluminum block, I should say, your cast aluminum blocks, factory cast aluminum blocks, are not designed to take 30 pounds of boost. They're just not. And I'm not saying it won't do it a time or two or 10 or whatever, but eventually it's going to have to give. The block is not designed to take that kind of pressure. It distorts it. It does stupid. The cast blocks are much better if you're going to be in a boosted application, regardless if you're going to go much more than 8 to 10 psi. I'm not saying it won't. I'm just saying it's not a good idea. And definitely, if you're going to do it, run head studs, because I bet you those torque to yield bolts will just pull the threads, or I don't know what they would do. I'm not the boosted guy. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there may disagree with me, but a lot of times I heard people in the past saying that the LS motors everybody just thought were so great were pieces of crap because they tried to put twin turbos on an LS1 and couldn't figure out why it self-destructed and the block was junk. It's not designed to do that. I mean, it's really just not. I think if you looked up the specs, and I don't know numbers on this, I bet you the cast block can take a whole lot more horsepower than the aluminum ones. And to me, that's just a standard. That I'm not taking it. I'm just kind of bringing them all down. It really don't matter on this piece of tin. But anyway, so in my mind, you're not really gaining a whole lot by really wanting the aluminum block over a cast. If all you're going to do is keep it normally aspirated, and you're just wanting the daily out of it with a little bit more horsepower. Like I said, weight is the only thing you're saving. It really isn't all that much in the grand scheme of things. But I can tell you, I can feel a difference turning it over on the stand. 75 pounds is 75 pounds when you're moving it. That's for sure. Okay, now, I don't want this out of my way, but they're like gone forever. All right, now it's time to pick the O-ring. And drop the bolt on the floor. Where is... I thought I had it up here. Okay. What happened to the... I tell you what. The bag that had the O-rings is MIA. Well, here it is. In the box. That box there had the timing set in it. I don't know what I was doing. Okay, now picking your O-ring, you have to figure out what pickup tube that you have. It does make a difference. If you're using an aftermarket, it will likely tell you. In my case, I'm using the stock one, and it says this oil pump uses 2 different O-rings depending on which pickup tube you have, as I just stated. If your tube looks like either design in figure 1 and or O-ring is red, or use a melting green O-ring if it looks like figure 2. In my case, mine looks like figure 1 because it's got this indentation right here, and that's what figure 1 has. And it actually has kind of a size difference. You can actually see that there's a size difference. And it looks like that figure 2 is, I guess I better get you better in the screen. Ah, God, I hate that thing being backwards. It basically just looks like flat. There's nothing there. But seeing how this has that, and almost every one I've done uses the green one. And here's the difference in the size. They both come in the bag. So the green one, and I know I don't have any backlight on there where you can actually see the difference in size, but there is quite a bit of difference. Oh, I'm telling you, this camera is killing me. But there is quite a bit of difference in, thickness. And the green one's the one I want. So I'm going to put it on there. Then I'm going to take that assembly lube. I'm going to pour some down in the oil pump hole. I'm not saying it's recommended. I'm not saying you have to do it. I'm doing it to make sure that this thing doesn't roll or be stupid. And I put quite a bit on the O-ring. And like I said, it's just to make sure that goes in. It doesn't try to roll it. To make sure you've got it on your 2-bolt, there are 2 nuts and studs in the back, and then just kind of push it down on there. Yep, and then you heard it snap in. So now you want to look and make sure you don't see any green sticking out anywhere, and I don't. So your studs are still lined up. It's that single bolt. Like I said, they do make a kit, or you can build it yourself. Get another bolt and stick over here and clamp this side too. Not saying that ain't a bad idea, especially in performance applications. It's probably not a bad idea. Now I'm not tightening those up until I tighten pickup tube up. My preference, because this is what I absolutely have to have straight. So if I tighten that down, it happens to be bent a little bit, like I dropped it or something, it went right in. I didn't mess it up on the pickup tube end of it, but you definitely don't want the thing out of, sitting at a funny angle. And that's where the second bolt was probably a good idea. Remember, aluminum. Don't Clovis. I'm sure I'm way over spec on the 12 to 15 pounds it's probably supposed to be. Tighten these 2 down. I'm ready for front cover. which I do not have the seal in. I'm going to put the seal in the front rear cover. We're going to put the front one on first. I'm going to turn the engine over and find some way to get a hold of it, whether I put my engine cradle deal, maybe I'll run them to the bolts here on the where the motor mounts are, and pick it upside. It doesn't have to go up, it just has to loosen up off of this engine stand, move it forward just enough to get it on there, but it'd be nice to get it out far enough that I make sure it goes on there square. All right, so here we are, making progress. Well, at least the best of my knowledge, I'm making progress. I don't know if it's good or bad. So I'm going to flip back over. I'm going to get the seals put in the covers and get the gaskets out. I'll probably, like I said, put the front one on, and I need to get the back one on. I may do that off camera because that's going to be a fight. I got to open the garage door, which also means I'm going to let all my air conditioning out. It's really tacky today. It's even going to be hotter tomorrow, so I may end up doing that first thing tomorrow morning. But I'd really like to have this sealed up so I can start on the heads first thing in the morning. But anyway, I'm going to flip this thing over afterwards. And well, like I said, to get the covers on. And the last thing I'm going to do is put the oil pan on. And what I am going to do is, I don't know that I want the STP oil for break-in, but I'm really going to take it out right away in straight 30 weight. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure AutoZone actually carries a break-in oil. I think O'Reilly's does here in town. That's the only two part stores we have left besides what I'm going to call an old mom and pop one that still looks a lot of stuff up in books. Let me tell you, sometimes, guys, that's a good one to have. They also do a lot of small engine stuff, so if you needed something for a lawnmower or whatever, man, they can find that stuff. But anyway, with that being said, I'm limited where I'm at to get stuff. But what they want you to do is, I'm going to get the front cover on and the rear cover. Before I put the oil pan on, I'm going to pour oil into the pickup tube until it starts running out. And then they want you to actually spin the engine over until that disappears. Spin it obviously the way it's supposed to rotate, and that's always just, you know, clockwise. And then when the oil disappears, I don't know where it goes, but it's going somewhere. That's kind of a help prime, at least make sure that there's oil completely in the pump and stuff, since I didn't put anything in it. And like I said, spin it around a couple of times and 3 times and stuff. If you want to refill it and do it again, I'm not sure it's a bad thing unless it starts running out on your feet. But that's kind of what they want you to do. So I'll bring you back when we get a little further along.